I think that the summary really needs to be your sales page. That's where you're telling them what sets you apart, really what your brand is, and also compels them to call you. I think one of the most important things that you can do if you're unemployed or if you're employed and you're openly seeking a job is to have a call to action in the summary. And you'll notice the third paragraph down, it's kind of by itself on Will's. It says, if your company is positioned for growth and you're ready to evolve to the 2.0 version of your business, let's have a conversation about how my talents can realize your plans. And if you know anything about direct marketing, it's really a direct marketing technique. If you have a call to action in your sales page, then you get a much better response. You get more phone calls. So I do recommend taking this information, making it succinct in the summary, not too much, because here is your 15, 20-second commercial. This is what gathers their attention. But then this is also a good place to put specific keywords. And specialties also are where you can put keywords. We've got here some hard skills like brand design, business development, change management, copywriting. These are the things that employers and recruiters, if they're looking for somebody on LinkedIn, and employers and recruiters can use it as a database pull just like you can. And so when they go out there and try to find somebody on LinkedIn, these are the type of words that they're putting into the search under keywords in an advanced people search. And then Will is being brought up because he has this information here in the summary, but he also has filled it throughout his experience so that it's keyword dense. And do you want to talk a little bit more about keyword density, Will?
Sure. Well, I think it's important to notice if you're looking at the summary, I do have a lot of keywords in there, as Tammy mentioned, such as creative vision, brand design, but also within the paragraphs where I'm talking about my business experience, I'm sharing keywords like B2B or business to business or B2C, industry recognized terms that people, like Tammy said, are going to be running a search for. And I think it's really critical. Marketers are using this a ton online for search engine optimization. So this is a way to personally kind of search engine optimize your LinkedIn profile. Having action words, international, and differentiate social media operations, whatever field that you've been specifically involved with, or if you're looking to transition fields that you would want to be positioned in.
And if you'll notice, good point. Yeah, that's a really good point because a lot of my clients and the people that come to me for advice are changing, they're 50-plus years old and they're changing careers, they're changing industries. So I think one of the things I'm taking away from what you're saying is that fill your LinkedIn profile with industry-specific words if you're targeting a specific industry.
Correct.
Right?
Correct. Okay. No, that's absolutely. And if you'll also, if you happen to be online and looking, you'll notice within the first 2 to 3 experience or, my past business history or employer history, whether that be my own business and or previous employers, I've kind of sprinkled in keywords, such as Cargill, sales experience with a $23 million territory. And, I've kept the descriptor of the business, more robust within the first 2 or 3. And then as we've gone down in history, then I've slimmed those experiences down, but still included keywords such as generated, marketing, international business experience, or, related to operations. So, that can kind of give you an idea how to basically how to enhance your LinkedIn profile, but not have every piece of information that you've ever done on that LinkedIn profile. What are your thoughts there, Tammy?
Well, I really agree with that, and I really like the fact that since you're not in operations anymore, all of your operations experience, which was basically, when you look at it, it was Cargill and before, so 2005 and before, you've really minimized because you don't want to highlight all of the experience that you have in operations if you're not looking for an operations position.
Right.
So that's really important. Now, if you've had some really good accomplishments, then by all means put them in there, but don't make it as detailed as what you've done in the last 5 or 8 years. Now, I do want to say something. I want to mention something about older job seekers. If you have a career that starts in the 70s or the early 80s, don't put that stuff down. I really recommend that you not go back past maybe 1990, but I would prefer probably mid-90s. Now, when I write a resume, I will generally detail out back through 2000 or 1998. And then prior to that, I will just say earlier experience includes, and then put the name of the job title and the company, but not the dates. I think that's really important because you don't want to give them an immediate idea of how old you are. You want to be able to talk with them, sell yourself beyond any kind of ageism that you might have. And by the way, I don't really see evidence of ageism until 58 or older, especially if you're looking for a high-level position. Actually, mid-50s is kind of a sweet spot. That's what they're looking for. But age 58, I start to see a little bit of that. That's a whole nother webinar to get into. But I think just like with a resume, it's important not to show all of your experience way back to the 70s and 80s.
Right. And
so
I think
one thing I wanted to share.
That's a really great point, Tammy. I mean, you really nailed that because, quite frankly, in my experience from working with a variety of companies or employers is, that has not been, it's not the history that's particularly relevant. It's what you've brought to the bottom line. And, you just don't want to have just such a long string of information because it could look like you spent days just working on your LinkedIn profile. But I will say that to look at the LinkedIn profile, it is really important, especially as an older job seeker, because it shows you're very relevant within being up on, kind of the industry standard of how businesses are connecting and how they're networking.
Yeah, and really LinkedIn has become the industry standard. I wanted to say one thing further about the amount of information that's on. You hit upon something when you said relevant. It really needs to be relevant to what you're looking for. And so when you say it, you don't have to make it really long. Make what you have completely relevant so that when an employer, when a potential employer or a recruiter looks at your profile, they get more information than what they would on, let's say, a functional resume, because I really love the one-page, 30-second commercial functional resumes. So I like to consider the LinkedIn profile your 60-minute infomercial versus the 30-second commercial that you have in a resume. So you can make it more robust than the resume, but you have to make everything very relevant because you have to consider the audience, keep the audience in mind, and think, what is it that they want to see if I'm looking for XYZ position? If I'm looking for a marketing position, what do I have in my history that shows, number one, marketing stuff, but also number two, what other ways have I brought in money to a company? Because marketing is all about increasing revenue to a company, so how have I affected the bottom line? If you guys have heard any of my webinars before, my mantra is bottom line. You have to put in quantifiable achievements on how you have affected a company's bottom line. So I wanted to just bring up the relevancy point. Why don't we move down to the groups? I mean, we've got the education there. That's kind of a given. You don't have to go into a lot of detail on the education, but let's talk about the groups and associations. If you scroll down a little bit under additional information, yours has a ton. You've got a lot of stuff there. So what types of groups do you find are the best for what you do? And then I'll give you my thoughts on that too. Okay,
sure. If you're looking at my LinkedIn profile, the groups and associations section, they're specifically related to my industry. I participate in the social media club, several LinkedIn business networking groups, several blogging groups. But I also, because Kansas City has such a robust entrepreneur background and center here, there's a lot of places that offer, such as startup, technology or, innovative, technology options such as Startup Weekend, but I'm an officer in several groups, community and or, industry groups here as well. So that's where I've included that information. I regularly contribute, kind of like Tammy does, to Journ Chat and a number of hosted Twitter chats. This is Job Hunt Chat and, different things around Kansas City. So, I tend to share that information because I think it's relevant. If I was a job seeker, as a potential employer could see, hey, he is in social media. They can actually go and find me, and yes, that I do participate in those groups. So, I'm not just putting it out there to put it out there. There is intent behind that in order to just share more information. And if someone wants to look that up and validate that I participate, then that's a great way to do it. It also shows that I'm involved and not just I'm not just doing something, just my job.
Actually, you bring up, again, a really good point, because you can subscribe to a lot of groups, but I think it's important to participate in those groups specifically because it makes you visible. If you join any of the groups of the local job clubs here in Kansas City, I'm just going to take a moment to tell you what a job club is, because there are a lot of listeners, especially ones outside of Kansas City, that don't know what a job club is. And if you type in the city name into Google and the words job club or job clubs, you can come up with a number of them. Kansas City has about 30 or 35, and we're one of the cities, because I work nationwide, so I know that Kansas City has more job clubs per capita than just about anywhere else. We have a lot of them, which is really, really cool. They are organizations that you can participate in to hear speakers, to hear more information, to network. They're really good resources. One of the things I like about job clubs, and you can look them up on the groups section of the search in LinkedIn in the upper right-hand corner, you can just put in job club groups. You can put in Kansas City Job Club and see what comes up. I've got some favorites. And that's one of the benefits of hiring a professional like myself. I know the market. I know what the most important resource sources are, how to best spend your time on that. And I'll give you some recommendations. New Landings organization has a great, very active organization or club on a group on Twitter. So does the Woods Chapel United Methodist Church or Crossroads Career Network. You can look that up. Those are two of the really great ones. And if you just look for some that are near you, you could attend locally, and you can also just attend via online. You don't have to actually go to the job club meetings. You can just be a part of the group and be active in that group. But you'll find even with those really large groups, those really active groups, there's only a handful of people that you see their names come up on a consistent basis. And guess what? Those are the names that employers or recruiters are seeing as well. When you're active in discussions, you're very visible. You get your name out there, you get your opinion out there, and you get your expertise. If you have something to add to a discussion, by all means take a couple moments and add something to the discussion. I can't tell you the number of times that I've had people come to me and say, hey, I saw you talking on XYZ group, and I want to reach out to you and connect with you and have a conversation. I mean, people do really read that stuff. And so if you want to be visible as a job seeker, you need to take every opportunity to make yourself as visible as possible. That's like the number one rule, or one of the number one rules of networking for looking for a job, is to make yourself visible in all areas. So, the way to add them to your profile, do you want to go into that? I mean, it's basically going up to the group search up top in the upper right-hand corner and typing in groups or the type of group that you want, and then clicking on it to join it, right? And there are some that take a moderator to approve that, and there are some that are just open and you can join, any of them.